Aaron Rodgers has been one of the best quarterbacks in football over the last 15 years. Josh Allen, over the last 5 years, has ascended to one of the best quarterbacks in football. Joy, these two teams, by record, it looks like the chasm could not be greater based on last season. One team won 13 games, another team only won 7 games. However, Aaron Rodgers has now joined the Jets. Who's the bigger threat in the AFC? Is it the Bills or is it the Jets?
Look, I wanna go crazy, get on the bandwagon, but I don't walk by faith. I don't walk by faith. I walk by sight. And I've seen the Bills do it. I've seen the Bills win. I've seen the Bills be consistent. I've seen what Josh Allen has been. I know they've been a little disappointing in the sense that we have expected them to maybe make it to a Super Bowl or be consistently in the AFC Championship game or Josh Allen win an MVP. But all that aside, Bills have been pretty good for the past few years.
True.
I don't know what the Jets are going to be. On paper, it looks incredible. On paper, it's very exciting. We kept saying if they had just competent, not even good, just competent quarterback play last year, they would have been in the playoffs. But it's still a difficult division. Don't forget, the Dolphins are still there.
True.
Dolphins are still there. Healthy Tua wins games. I know we don't take the Patriots and Bill Belichick seriously, but he always is going to find a way to mess up your season. He can sneak in there and win a game, mess up your game plan. You get a snow game at the end of the season. You don't know how it's all going to play out. This is a tough division. This isn't the NFC North. You're not going up against the Bears and the Lions and, splitting one with the Vikings anymore. This is a real division. This is real competition. And for better or worse, I like to take time to process my trauma. And I have not moved on from what happens with Russell Wilson last year. We all got very, very ahead of ourselves talking about, well, they win a Super Bowl this year, they're going to win a Super Bowl next year. Like, well, it's a failure as long as he wins a Super Bowl within his, wins a Super Bowl. Like, we were so far ahead of ourselves for how badly that went. And I have not processed all of that yet. I don't know where I sit with it, and I'm not willing to just jump into another downhill sled for the Jets yet. I need to see what it looks like before I can call them a bigger threat than the Bills or even the Dolphins in that division.
That is very fair. So as opposed to walking by sight, I'm going to walk by faith. So Joy and I look at the same thing. We look at it differently, which is why I think the Jets are the bigger threat. I think both of these teams are headed in a direction, but it's not the same direction. I think the Bills are headed backwards. Now, I don't think it's maximally backwards. I think it's marginally backwards. However, I believe the Jets are headed maximally forward. The gap between the Jets and the Bills last year, one was a 3-point game, Jets win. The other was an 8-point game, Bills win. I think Aaron Rodgers can close that gap. When I think about the Jets' defensive line, I believe it's better than the Bills. Remember, Von Miller coming off of an ACL injury, already aging. I think about the linebacking core. C.J. Mosley's there for the Jets. I believe it's the Jets. Remember, Tremaine Edmonds is now gone. Cornerbacks, Sauce Gardner, I'm going with the Jets. Safety, give me the Bills. My question, though, Micah Hyde missed all of last season, essentially, with a neck injury. Jordan Poyer, friend of the show, friend of mine, getting older. Offensively, that's where it comes to question. The Bills clearly win the receiving battle, but the Jets win the running back battle. Now at quarterback, who you like? Josh Allen, he was so crazy and sporadic in some games last year, but Aaron Rodgers had a down year. So I'm going with the Jets only because I believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to make up for the void that the Jets had offensively last year. I don't think it'll be a big gap, but I think the Jets have them barely.
You know what's funny, though, about this NFL is that we can say today that the Patriots, New England Patriots, are the worst team in the AFC East.
Yeah.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
When I was playing with the Bills, you knew they was going to win it. It's crazy to say that. I just was thinking about it. Like, Belichick is last in that division. Anyway. I'm going to go with the Jets. I feel like we know who the Bills are, right? And they lost some pieces. I think they're a really good team. They got a hell of a quarterback. They play well, but they are the same team every year. They're everybody's favorite through the whole season, and then they get to playoffs and it just falls apart. Now I want the Bills to win. I want the Bills to beat the Jets. I gotta go with the Jets. I look at how the Jets and the Bills split last year. With you talked about Russell Wilson. Zach Wilson played worse than Russell Wilson. That was hard to do last year.
Yeah, it was.
So if you could split a game, right?
Yeah.
With anybody at quarterback, imagine you get Aaron Rodgers. Now, Aaron Rodgers didn't play well last year, right? But he didn't play trash. He didn't play terrible. So if I feel like if you put him with better weapons, with a better defense, the defense is still good, right? And the defense is going to be better this year.
Correct.
Now you got all them young guys that were really, really good. The next year, oh, my God. So I'm going to just go with the Jets. I just think that a better quarterback now from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers, a better defense, and they were top 5 last year, better offensive weapons. They added on, where compared to the Bills, we know who they are. We've seen it already.
That's a good point.
And they lost some pieces. So, I want to go with the Bills, but I got to be honest. I got to do my job. Josh, my boy.
Do your job.
Do my job.
I want to get something straight before I give my take. The reason that we are vaulting the Jets into the conversation with the Buffalo Bills in the top of the NFC,
Right.
AFC, excuse me, is because of Aaron Rodgers.
Well, no. Aaron Rodgers and that Jets team, talent, they have some talent.
No, but
they
I
got
mean,
defense.
You have this team, and the reason that we're going to elevate them to being among the elite in the AFC is because they are adding Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the reason, sir.
And the reason that we're believing that Aaron Rodgers can be better than he was last year at age 39, he's going to be better at age 40 is why? Because we saw Tom Brady essentially be that good late.
Mm-hmm.
You made a statement. Let me interject. It's not my belief necessarily that Rodgers will be better than his former self. It is that Rodgers will be better than the former Jets quarterback.
Way better.
So it's not that I need Rodgers to be an MVP. I need him to be better than Flacco, Mike White, and Zach Wilson. Significantly.
Okay,
Go ahead, sir.
that is the issue I have, which is you said way better. I just want to remind you of what Aaron Rodgers was last year, all right? He was 8 and 9. He threw the second most interceptions of his career. He had the lowest passer rating in his 16 years as a starter.
Yes, sir.
Fewest yards passing per game since he became a starter.
That's true.
So, and meanwhile, that's at age 39. And if we're believing that quarterbacks, because at the level of an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady, can continue to be good at 40 and 40 plus, let me remind you of what Tom Brady was at age 39, the same age that Aaron Rodgers was last year. 28 TDs, 2 interceptions. Second highest passer rating of his career, 11-1 record, just a tick under 300 yards passing per game. It was a completely different Tom Brady than we're seeing from Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be incredibly motivated to be better than he was last year with the Green Bay Packers. But I don't have any reason to believe that he was trying to be bad last year.
Agreed.
And I don't want to put everything on that the talent around him is the reason that he was as bad as he was, because I don't know that talent is significantly worse than some of the other teams that he played with over the course of his career with the Green Bay Packers. So I just look at it and go, the expiration date on Aaron Rodgers in terms of being an elite quarterback or the kind of quarterback that's going to vault these New York Jets as high as people want them to go, I'm not convinced that Aaron Rodgers still exists.
But here's why, Joy, I think Slick might be looking at it the wrong way. It's, again, I don't need Aaron Rodgers to be the best Aaron Rodgers.
Nope.
But think about the Jets quarterbacks last year. The Jets quarterbacks collectively, 14 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers last year, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I don't need Aaron Rodgers to be his 40 touchdown, 5 interception MVP self. But if you can take that 26 touchdown, 12 interception self on the Jets, to me, that's good enough. Slick, had the Jets scored 21 points, they would have been 11-6 last year.
But good enough to be better than the Bills? Good enough to be better than the Dolphins? Good enough to win this division? Good enough, if they don't win this division, to secure a wild card spot in the AFC? Because that is really what we're talking about. We can all agree it's a failure if the Jets don't make the playoffs this year, correct? Mm-hmm. So that is the scenario that the Jets are in with Aaron Rodgers. So we keep saying we don't need Aaron Rodgers to be his MVP self. We need him to even be what he was last year. Do you believe that Aaron Rodgers, with this Jets team, with let's be honest, an unproven head coach who's won 11 games in this NFL, his tenure as a head coach, very young talent who hasn't seen winning yet, Nathaniel Hackett in a new place, all of this has to mesh, all this has to come together. They don't have a window or margin of error in this conference. They can't go on a streak of a losing streak. Things can't fall apart, not in this conference. He doesn't have that window. So I hear what you're saying. I don't think that he's going to be as bad as Zach Wilson. That's almost impossible. Like, it's not possible.
It is not possible.
Even if he was as bad as Russell Wilson, to Shady's point, he still wouldn't be as bad as Zach Wilson. So I'm halfway in between. I hear and actually agree with what Slick is saying. Russ had a almost better year his last year in Seattle than Aaron did last year in Green Bay. Russ had more passing yards per game, a lower interception total, and a significantly higher passer rating than his last year in Seattle before he went to Denver than Aaron did last year in Green Bay, a place he spent his entire career. So my question is, do you believe that Aaron Rodgers even if he was what he was last year, because to Slick's point, he's nowhere near what Brady was at the same age. Is that going to be good enough to get this New York Jets team to the playoffs and make some noise?
Here, I think, and Shady has brought this up before. Shady, don't let me speak for you. Please interject as you see necessary. Remember, Russell Wilson was going to a completely foreign land with completely foreign coaches. Aaron Rodgers rejoining his OC. As Shady knows, he's played a long time in the National Football League. Even if you're in a new place, if I'm in a new place with the same system, it's kind of like I'm in the same place. Because if I were to I went from the Cleveland Browns, and my defensive coordinator was my linebacker coach with the Cleveland Browns was my defensive coordinator with the Eagles. I already knew what he was about. Yeah. So it was the same. Terminology is the same. Yeah. Plays are the same. Systems the same. Now the personnel is different. Yeah. Yeah. But I think Aaron Rodgers will have a much more seamless transition to 5 because of who he's joining.
I agree with you. I went from Andy Reid in Philadelphia to Andy Reid with the Chiefs. Now, it was super similar. Terminology, right? Mm-hmm. But it was small little things that I learned quick because it's a little different because, you take it from almost, 9-8 year difference. But it still was all the same terminology. So it was easy to pick up. Another thing is, you guys are just forgetting that the Jets team, right, with no quarterback was like a game or two out of being in the playoffs. Just think about that for a second, though. There's some games where they almost won and they put up 20 yards in the second half of offense. So as much as y'all want to say A-Rod, he had a bad year and this and that don't matter. We don't need him to be that A-Rod. But if we take, 24 touchdowns and 12 picks? Mm-hmm. They can take that.
Aaron had some of those games last year for the Green Bay Packers.
What do you mean?
Where they needed, against the Lions.
Against the Lions last game of the season, they needed to show up.
They needed something out of him, and they didn't get it. I'm just saying, the guarantee that Aaron Rodgers is going to be good enough to get them where they want to go. Yeah. And even with Nate Hackett,
Nathaniel Hackett,
what did they accomplish
MVP.
That makes you think?
It was MVP years.
He was good.
Okay.
He was good. Where did it take the Green Bay Packers?
13-3, 1 seed. But Joy will remind us all, they didn't go
for
far.
Where we're putting it,
I think it's two different teams.
Jets would take that any day. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.